My name is Jessie, and today I'm going to be making a white sandwich bread that is gluten-free, corn-free, and dairy-free. Now, this is actually the third time that I will be doing this for camera. The first two times I made big mistakes. So I had added too much liquid the first time. I was thinking in my head, I know how much I need, so I'm gonna throw it in. I'm gonna do what I know I need to do. Well, I didn't double check my measurements, and so I hadn't actually doubled it, but I had almost doubled it, and so that made it came out. It looked good. I tipped it out of the pan, and it just sank. It was kind of funny. It did taste fine. The kids ate it. They loved it, but it was not pretty. The second time, I was also rushing, and I was paying super close attention to my measurements, but I didn't pay super close attention to the time and to how the bread looked when my timer did go off. So I took it out a little too soon, and it just hadn't had time to fully bake and keep its shape. So I tipped it out, and again, it fell, which is just kind of funny because, like I said, I've been making this bread for several years now, and I have never had either of these problems yet. Now, those are my introductory tips. So we will get into this recipe now. I'm going to bring you in closer. I might not do a whole lot of talking so that I can think through how to make this without making any more mistakes. I don't really want to teach all of the mistakes that you could make with this recipe. So here we go. I've already got my flour, my 3 cups of flour in here. This recipe I'm going to link it down below in the description. Like I said, I've been using it for quite a while. I have seen similar recipes all over the internet if you look for white gluten-free sandwich bread. This one, as it is written, is not dairy-free, but substitutions work just great in this bread. So I have 3 cups of flour in here. Now, you can use, I have used a 1-to-1 baking mix. That is fine. You can do that. You do have to double check that your gluten-free flour blends, if corn is also an issue for you, you do have to check to make sure that there is no corn in it. Xanthan gum is supposedly derived from corn, or can be. By the time I had found that out, that was the last thing in our diet that could be of corn, and I have not seen any effects of xanthan gum. So I have kept that in our diet. However, today I did blend my own flour. I blended it in a separate bowl, and there is leftovers, so I'll be able to do something else again with it. The recipe I use, the ratio I use is 2 cups of rice flour, white rice flour, 1 cup of another whole grain flour. So what I did today was I had millet, and I ground the millet in I have a coffee grinder specifically for grains for this house. And so I blended those 3 cups of flours, and then 2 cups of tapioca starch. This has been my favorite flour mix. It's easy, it's fairly cost effective. Because I mixed my own flour and there is no gum or binding agent in my blend, of course, I will have to use the next ingredient. Here is 2 1/4 teaspoons of xanthan gum. Now, if your blend already has xanthan gum or something of that nature, you will not want to add it. I will have to add it though. But because I'm blending my own, and xanthan gum could potentially be a problem, I don't choose to keep that on hand, that individual ingredient. I have psyllium fiber powder. So I've got that here, and when you use psyllium fiber in place of xanthan gum, you do double the measurement. So I've got that. The next ingredient will be 2 1/2 teaspoon of instant yeast. This is not the same as dry active. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now, I have used, this is just cane sugar. I have used honey, I have used syrup, I've even used molasses before. They have all worked for me. This is, again, I'm just using the sugar, the cane sugar. Now, at this stage, you'll want to mix these up, to blend them up. I just use the paddle of my mixer. I'll need that again, so I'll just set that in there. And then 2 teaspoons of salt, and I just happen to use pink Himalayan, so that's what I'm putting in there. Mix that up again. At that point, that can go back on. Now, I've pre-warmed my milk. This is almond milk that I made. You can use store-bought almond milk. It all works. I have done this recipe with regular dairy, regular butter. It all works. This is just, right now I have to be dairy-free, so I'm not putting regular milk and regular butter in. I'm going to add this in here. I'm going to give it a little bit of a stir. Okay, just enough to get it all wet. The next ingredient is, it calls for 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. I am going to use olive oil. I have used olive oil, I've used butter, I've used ghee, I have used coconut oil. It all works. It's a pretty forgiving recipe, you know, unless you add too much liquid or you add or don't bake it for enough time. As far as the ingredients go, pretty forgiving. Okay, give that a little bit of a mix. I can't help you much. I'm trying to make this. The next ingredient is 1 teaspoon apple cider vinegar. White vinegar is from corn. So that is something to watch out for if you are in a position where you cannot have corn. Give this a little bit of a mix. Okay, the last ingredient, it calls for 2 egg whites at room temperature. Now, I don't like to separate my eggs if I don't have to, especially if I don't have a reason to use the egg yolk anywhere. So I will be using a whole egg, and I don't even think I even tried it with as it called for it the first time I made it. So I have an egg. That's gonna go in, the whole thing. Oops. Shell broke a little bit faster than expected. So I'm gonna blend this up just so that it's mixed, and then I'm going to blend it for 3 minutes, and then we'll come back. Now I am using a cast iron bread pan. I've got glass bread pan, I've got a stainless steel bread pan, and I have a ceramic. They all work. This just happens to be my favorite. Try to get some of this off of the paddle here. Stick on the dishwasher. Go. I'll get this dough into this pan that has been oiled. And I just kind of smooth it in. As you can see, gluten-free bread. It is not the same process at all as glutened bread. You do not knead the dough if it is to a consistency where it could be kneaded. It's not gonna taste very well. It's not gonna taste very good. Believe me, I tried after I had to go gluten-free. I tried many times to make a gluten-free bread the way I had always made bread, and it does not work. So I'm going to lightly oil a piece of plastic wrap, put this on top, and let it sit for about 20, 30, 40 minutes. It kind of depends on how warm the house is, how fast it rises. Now in the winter time, when it is colder in here, when it is cooler, I will turn the pilot light on the oven, and I will set the pan of dough in the oven. It is not hot in there, it's just a little bit warmed with that light on, and it helps it to rise much faster than if it was in very cold house. So once this rises, we will of course take the plastic wrap off, get the oven to after the oven has preheated, stick it in the oven, and that takes about 45 minutes to an hour. Once that's done, I will bring you back in so you can see it. Here we have the bread out of the oven. I will be letting this cool, but I'm going to get it out of the bread pan first. To do that, I need a butter knife. Alright, this is just to help it release from the side. Here, this is looking better than my last 2 loaves have looked. So there is hope. I am hopeful that this not going to deflate as soon as I get it out. As soon as I get it out of this pan. Now I have also just started a sourdough starter again, and of course that's gluten-free. If you're interested in that, let me know, and I can do a video talking about that. Oh yeah, there we go. Right. That is what that is supposed to look like. That looks much better than my last two attempts, which again had never happened to me before. So it's been an adventurous week here. So I'm going to let this cool down. This did just come out of the oven, so it is pretty hot still. I'm gonna let this cool down. I will slice it. Usually, or oftentimes I should say, I will bake two of these at the same time. I will let them cool, of course, and I got started too late to make this for lunch, but we will have it for lunch tomorrow. And there will be no leftovers of this loaf. Usually I will make 2 loaves though. It doesn't take any extra time, just extra materials. And then I will slice it. Once it's completely cooled, I will put parchment paper strips, just a little square or so, between each slice, and put it in a Ziploc bag, a freezer bag, and stick it in the freezer. That way I don't have to, I'll be able to have a fresh loaf of bread, I guess fresh out of the freezer, still whatever, ready to go the next time I need a really easy, quick grab and go lunch. So there is that. Let me know what gluten-free recipes you have found that have been your no-fail, easy, tastes at least as similar as can be to the original that you just love. I'm always looking for new recipes, so I would love to know what recipes you also love. And yeah, this is one of our favorites though. It's super easy. It's almost always no fail, so long as I follow the recipe properly. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite things to make and keep on hand. Thank you all, and I will see you next time.